Elizabeth Báthory, the Countess accused of bathing in the blood of hundreds of girls. She was one of the wealthiest, most powerful noblewomen in Europe, related by blood to kings. Local villagers began whispering that young women who went to work in her castle never came back out. When investigators finally searched the property, they found girls locked away, some already dead, and testimony from dozens of witnesses describing a scale of cruelty that made her one of history's most prolific killers. If the accusations were actually true, Elizabeth Báthory was born in 1560 into one of Hungary's most powerful and well-connected noble families, with direct familial ties extending to Polish and Transylvanian royalty, and through her marriage to Hungarian nobleman Ferenc Nadasdy, became mistress of Csejte castle and considerable additional estates and wealth, establishing herself as one of the most powerful and genuinely wealthy noblewomen within the broader Kingdom of Hungary during this specific historical period. Following her husband's death in 1604, Bathory assumed direct independent control over the family's extensive estates and considerable financial holdings, a position of genuine, substantial independent power and wealth that historians studying the period generally note was genuinely unusual for a widowed noblewoman to maintain so completely independently during this specific era, without requiring formal remarriage or male family oversight of her continued estate management. Beginning sometime in the years following her husband's death, persistent rumors and accusations began circulating regarding Bathory's treatment of the young women, predominantly servants and, according to some accounts, daughters of lesser nobility sent specifically to receive education and training within her household, a genuinely common practice for noble households of this era, with these accusations eventually describing a pattern of severe, sustained physical abuse and, according to the most serious formal accusations eventually brought against her, systematic torture and murder occurring within her castle over an extended period. These accusations reached a genuinely significant formal turning point in 1610, when King Matthias II of Hungary, responding to sustained pressure and formal complaints regarding Bathory's alleged conduct, authorized a formal investigation, resulting in a raid on Csejte castle in December of 1610 that reportedly discovered evidence supporting at least some portion of the accusations, including the discovery of deceased and severely injured young women within the castle, findings that led directly to Bathory's formal arrest along with several of her household servants and associates who were subsequently prosecuted as direct accomplices in the alleged crimes. The subsequent formal trial proceedings against Bathory's associates, since Bathory herself, given her considerable noble status and family connections, was never formally, directly tried in the same manner as her servants, produced extensive witness testimony describing a genuinely disturbing pattern of systematic torture and murder, with various witnesses providing estimates regarding the total number of victims that varied considerably, ranging from several dozen to, according to the most extreme cited testimony, several hundred young women over the alleged multi-year period the accusations covered. What makes Bathory's case genuinely historically significant to examine with particular care is the specific, considerable scholarly debate that has persisted regarding exactly how much of the formal accusations and trial testimony against her actually reflected genuine, documented criminal conduct versus the genuine possibility that political and financial motivations, since several powerful figures held considerable outstanding debts to Bathory's estate and stood to benefit considerably from her removal and the redistribution of her substantial property holdings, may have contributed to accusations that were, at minimum, significantly exaggerated beyond whatever actual mistreatment may have genuinely occurred within her household. Modern historians studying the case generally acknowledge that some genuine mistreatment of servants within Bathory's household likely did occur, consistent with the broader, genuinely harsh treatment of household servants that characterized many noble estates during this specific historical period, while simultaneously noting that the most extreme, sensationalized elements of her subsequent popular reputation, including later, considerably more elaborate legends describing her specifically bathing in the blood of virgins to preserve her youth, appear to have developed and become embellished considerably after her actual death, reflecting a broader pattern of sensationalized folklore development rather than reflecting any genuine contemporary evidence from the actual 1610 investigation and trial proceedings themselves. Bathory herself, following her arrest, was never formally tried or convicted through any standard judicial proceeding, but was instead confined to a series of sealed rooms within her own castle, where she remained held in genuinely severe, sustained isolation until her death in 1614. A punishment reflecting her family's continued political influence, sufficient to avoid the kind of formal public trial and execution her convicted servants and associates actually faced, while still ensuring her permanent removal from any further public role or influence. What makes Elizabeth Báthory's case endure as one of history's most extensively debated examples of contested historical accusation isn't simply the genuinely disturbing scale the formal accusations against her actually described, but the specific, sustained scholarly uncertainty regarding exactly how much of that formal historical record reflects genuine documented criminal conduct versus the genuine possibility that a politically and financially motivated prosecution, combined with centuries of subsequent sensationalized folklore, transformed a case involving some genuine, if uncertain, degree of actual noble cruelty into one of history's most exaggerated and mythologized reputations for evil. If stories like this, where historians still can't fully separate genuine historical atrocity from centuries of sensationalized myth built on top of it, are exactly what you come here for, subscribe to The Grave Details, because history holds more stories like this than most people will ever know.